been a little bit since I've been inspired to do a rant video, and if you haven't seen my rant videos before, just know there's no scripting, there's not even any bullet points, and generally I think of the topic just as I hit that little red record button. So here we are, friends, family. My name's Skylent, and we talk about games and stuff here, often about online games. I like to play online games. I like all games, I really do, but online games and, of course with YouTube, I love sharing those experiences with other people. That's kind of the magic of everything. So often I am very pro-consumer. I mean, most people really should be, but I'm just saying I'm very much about free-to-play games and things being very fair, and also though, I like when things are competitive. There is actually definitely some crossover between having a game that's very inclusive, but then at the same time also just being quality. And yes, I do consider something that is competitive to kind of overlap a little bit with quality as well. So yeah, something like an MMO is often very minigame oriented or very casual, very role play, very silly, very social. But if you've actually played a lot of MMOs, you know that they do often have a lot of grind or hardcore mechanics, a lot of things that are very time gating, though that's kind of what the video is mostly about. And there's a lot of dungeons, and there's some serious difficulty with that, though again, a lot of the difficulty is offset by time gating and grind, and it's really less about skill. But yeah, though I guess we can get into that. Yeah, so how do I think MMOs should operate? This is one aspect. Yeah, they should be open. I honestly think most MMOs, if not all, really should be free or have free demos or free entry periods, things like that. They should be social, they should be open, they should be truly massive. But I also think that if we are going to have content that is in instance dungeons, if we are going to have specific streamlined quests, if we are going to have specific encounters, world bosses, things like that, then they should be designed with such quality that they could be considered competitive. Because I think, and a lot of you guys are already keyboard warriored, but you guys already, you see a game as casual and competitive that it has to be totally separate. But they're actually the same side of the same coin. I mean, look at Smash Bros, look at League of Legends, look at Overwatch. Actually, look at most big competitive games right now, like Fortnite. Now, there's a few that, you just can't do that. Historically, we had StarCraft. Historically, we've had Quake. But modern competitive games, well, they are both extremely casual and extremely competitive. And now with, you could see a rise actually of mobile games being competitive. Clash Royale, we have auto chess. We actually have really more relevant to the rant today, which is Honkai Impact 3rd, and a couple of others like Monster Hunter, or, we have these action RPGs, these co-op action RPGs, and now we even have MMOs, such as World of Warcraft, having these competitive speedruns, or competitive versus, like speedruns or races in order to, complete a dungeon, with certain strategies. You work together. It is a co-op, but it's also a race style esport. And they can do that because their encounters are good. They're good. So here's the thing, guys. I think most, and I have to say I think, I'm going to have to use, in my opinion a lot, and I'm going to have to use vague terms, and hopefully you guys understand. Hopefully you guys have played these games and feel a little bit of relevancy with this. But I do feel that most MMOs encounters are fake. Now, I know for a fact that some encounters, some quests, some fights, some dungeons, and obviously certain parts of dungeons. I mean, we literally call, trash mobs for a reason. But there are certain filler quests, filler content in MMOs that's really there just to elongate the playtime, and it's really non-gameplay. Like, yeah, you're pressing buttons, but there's not really a challenge. And even if there is a challenge, it's generally artificial, and generally it's there to elongate a grind, gear treadmill, something that allows them to squeeze more money out of you, or give you a sense of pride and accomplishment if you have an addictive personality. When it comes to games like Dark Souls or Monster Hunter, or these games that are applauded and lauded for really good encounters, boss fights, fun co-op, as well, engaging gameplay that you can actually see as like, oh my god, competitive. If somebody has a world record in Dark Souls or a Monster Hunter, monster fight, that's serious stuff. That's legit. But it's, even though there is that culture and has been that culture for forever in MMOs, world firsts, things like that, people don't really talk about it. You might, maybe in the biggest MMO, maybe like in Final Fantasy 14 or World of Warcraft, the brand newest end game boss of the newest expansion, maybe some sites will talk about a world first. But generally, like, when it comes to MMOs, nobody really takes them seriously. The most serious MMO is, I guess you could say, EVE Online. People really talk about the politics, the espionage and the epic battles that happen in that. But that's because those are world record breaking. Those are literally just massive numbers, and you just can't fight that. But when it comes to true, pure quality of encounters, MMOs, you can say, hey, Final Fantasy 14, it's got some cool endgame. World of Warcraft, it has some cool endgame. It has pieces here and there. But as a whole, can anybody admit that there is an MMO where every single step of the way, it is absolutely legitimized? Where you could say every single monster in Monster Hunter is a legitimate encounter, and you can speedrun it and you can fight it. And I know you can speedrun even simple games like RPGs, which are, you just kind of, like, you just pick choices. There are a lot of predestined paths, things like that. Speedrunning can look really silly, and competitive games can get really outrageous as well with certain rule sets or balancing issues. I know, I've seen For Honor, sure. But MMOs can be balanced, MMOs can be competitive, and if you think otherwise, I'm sorry, but you're wrong. I don't know, fight me. I'm not here to argue that. I'm just not. I'm just here assuming that you already believe that anything can be, can come to fruition if you try hard enough. And I think that a real competitive MMO is kind of needed right now. Now, we can actually see on the horizon, we have some games that, like, they seem like they kind of want to do that. I guess you could say Ashes of Creation, teasing a Battle Royale. Yeah, Battle Royale is a competitive genre, and if you don't think so, this is not the video for you. You are in the dark ages. So yeah, we see that Ashes of Creation maybe wants to be a little bit more competitive, a little bit more sincere. We don't know where that's going to go, and it seems maybe counterintuitive a bit, because the game's also supposed to be a living, breathing, organic game that is PvEvP. But then again, you do have games like Crowfall, which the whole point is that it's truly an MMO competitive game, and while it's not an esport, you don't need to be an esport to be competitive. And even then, if you have these longer-winded campaigns where entire guilds are fighting over a throne, essentially, it's a throne simulator, then I guess, that's also really interesting too, as long as the PvEvP in that game and the rule sets are actually really fair and properly engaging. Because if it's just a grind fest, then there's no way it's going to compete with EVE Online. So this is just kind of the worry that I've had. Like, I've played a lot of games, and I've seen games that have hard dungeons, right? Like Terra for a long time. I don't know if it still has, but like its endgame was crazy. Like, it was ridiculous. But at the same time, you kind of, like, once you knew the gimmicks, you could totally solo the mobs. It just took forever. I really just genuinely think it would be really good for viewership, because I don't know if you noticed, but on Twitch, on YouTube, the stream culture for MMOs, it's consistent. People want to see the new games coming out. So MMOs as a whole, yeah, people will turn into, Lost Ark or the new one, Blue Protocol, or something like that. People will turn into MMOs a bit. It's not like the most dead genre like arena shooters, but it's nowhere near the actual popularity of those games. Guild Wars 2 is a really popular game. I mean, Final Fantasy 14, really popular. World of Warcraft, obviously, but really only like RuneScape, World of Warcraft, and on certain expansions, Final Fantasy 14. Like, a lot of MMOs really don't do any sort of traction, like, consistently, when it comes to comparing their popularity. And I think that that's really tragic, because MMOs have so much to show off and so much to be seen, so much to be played, and being such social games, having that viewership would be fantastic. And I think if we took the minute mechanics more seriously, like the actual encounters, the engagements, then it'd be better. So a lot of people, when I hate to end the video with this sort of moral of the story, but basically, yeah, MMOs are too easy. And but I'm kind of going the extra step and saying they're too easy because mechanically, in terms of the artificial intelligence, in terms of the fighting, the actual, versus, it's really just too basic, and it's way too played out. That difficulty is what I'm talking about. A lot of other people, and I also agree with this though, is that the macro difficulty is generally too easy in some MMOs. such as modern World of Warcraft versus older World of Warcraft. Modern World of Warcraft has more abilities and skill shots and more mobs, I guess you could say, but overall, you don't have to worry about mana management, and you don't have to worry about, other macro factors that go into the overall lifestyle of the game, running through an entire zone. But I'm saying, looking at the dungeons, looking at the true, we need teamwork type of content, generally, you don't need teamwork. And then if you do need teamwork, it's really passive, and it's really easy, and it's really just following the rules type of gameplay instead of the truly, actual player expressive and engaging content that you get in something like Monster Hunter. So I'm not, I'm not saying like, oh man, every MMO needs to be like Dark Souls. But what I'm saying is, if you're gonna make versus style PvE or PvP or PvEvP style content, then comparing it to some of the best games that do that the best, that's not unfair. If you're gonna make an MMO and then you're gonna then change the game to totally focus on dungeon diving, then why wouldn't I look at other dungeoneering games where, you jump into an instance and you boss rush or whatever, like Monster Hunter? Why wouldn't I look at those games and say, okay, you're kind of doing a half-assed version of this? But I will end cap the video by saying that MMOs are actually a very different experience. The cooperation inside of MMOs generally is something that we don't see in games. I've played a lot of co-op-y, fantasy action RPGs, such as from Dungeon Defenders, obviously Monster Hunter, and then looter shooters like Warframe. And all these games do things very differently, but MMOs are the ones that really, it's the holy trinity. It's the healing, it's the supporting, it's a lot of the weird gimmicky mechanics in these boss fights. But the thing is here and there, certain fights, certain encounters, I really feel like they are fun, they are cool, they are engaging, and I love watching them. I actually like watching Final Fantasy XIV, even though I don't play Final Fantasy XIV, but I just think that it's missing all that variety in more encounters combined. It just really feels like MMOs aren't pushing the envelope that they should be, and they're playing it safe. And in fact, not only are they just playing it safe generally, which, yeah, they'll throw in tons of money to make a big production, a big epic visually, spectacle of a dungeon fight. But I think, that more often is the case that they make like it's filler content. It's essentially filler content. And I really don't appreciate that. If you took it more seriously, and if we had more, speed running, if we had more competitive PvEvP, if we had more, I hate to say this, but if we had more of an esport approach with MMOs, then I think that we would have better MMOs. Even though I am kind of talking about the non-MMO portion of MMOs. It's just something that I haven't really seen, we haven't seen, and if you agree it can go in or not, if it's even possible, I don't know, let me know in the comments below. But I'm excited. I'm just saying, I was excited when I saw the World Championship for the, dungeon diving, I don't even know what it was called, but it was kind of cool to watch two people, two guilds race, through dungeons competitively in World of Warcraft. I saw this on Honkai Impact and a few other mobile games, and I'm sure we're going to see it more and more. But the thing is we're seeing it more and more in games that generally have not done this. They're like entirely new genres. They have less content technically than MMOs, and I feel like MMOs, they just have so much potential to be esports. To have actual guilds really working together, really strategizing, writing guides. All the stuff that you see in MOBAs or the hero shooter genre, or now battle royales. All these tactics and strategies. There's so much that could go. It just all you gotta do is just do your job, MMO developers. Make not just content that takes time and takes a little bit of thought, but make actual engaging encounters. Give us actual challenges, not just up the numbers, but give us real things that can express ourselves as players, as guilds, and then your MMO as a whole will be more expressive, and it'll be shown, on Twitch, on YouTube. More people will see it, more people will play it, and that's really what I want to say in the end. I think this is a good idea because more people are going to play the games, and that's what I want. I want more massive numbers of players in my massively multiplayer online games. I want all walks of life. Yes, from casual to competitive, and I just feel right now that overwhelmingly the people who play MMOs are people who are casually trying to play the game and they burn out, and then you have people who are just simply addicted. We have a few guilds and guild leaders that are really trying to game the game, but that is such a small fraction. Where you have League of Legends, where the majority of players test out ranked. The majority of players test out ranked in Overwatch and a bunch of these other games, Fortnite. The majority of players do attempt to play these games at least a little bit, you know, they see the potential and they taste it a little bit, the competitive nature of it. And MMOs, in my opinion, are competitive. I think they are. I mean, I started really with RuneScape and World of Warcraft, which had pretty fun in open world PvP focuses, actually, vanilla, that is. And I just feel like that is, like, in the end, the essence of an MMO is that there is a layer of competition, there is a layer of survival, there is a layer of challenge, because that's how we come together. You know, if a game that forces us to come together to actually play it, that's the nature of an MMO. That's just my opinion. So, no, not every MMO needs actual challenge. There's silly, fun kid games. There's Toontown. You know, there's things like that. There's Fusion Fall, which you need to try out. I understand that. And I'm going to do list videos on those. I can cover those. But I'm also saying that the biggest MMOs, I think it's just kind of sad that they're not taken more seriously for how many players they have. And it seems like more often than not, the updates always churn out either filler content or it's pure story content. It's microtransaction oriented. And it's not, like, to me, for someone who really loves gaming, you know, actually gaming games, MMOs don't have that much gamification. You know, they just don't. And hopefully we can bring that back. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. That was my rant. I said a couple of things, some jargon thrown out there that maybe you guys wouldn't understand. Hopefully you guys actually appreciate some stuff and things that happened in this video. Regardless, hope you guys had fun. You know, let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comments below. Let me know, and keep the hype alive. My name's Skylent, and I'll see you again next time.